Hey everybody, how's it going? It's that time of the month again for some Q&A. It's great to see everybody. I am in New York right now. I am sitting on my roof. We got a nice view of some buildings. And so the weather's nice finally up here, which is nice because we came up here a little earlier this year and it was cold for a long while. So anyway, let's just jump into it. I've got a bunch of questions and we'll take it from there. All right, first question is from Kristen Lander. How many months of operating expenses should a business keep on hand? I purchased an existing business and have a lot of debt associated with the purchase. I'm lucky in that I don't need to pay myself from this business. My personal expenses are all covered by my income from another business I own. So I want to pay the debt off as fast as possible, within 4 years, if not sooner. While not putting the business in jeopardy with less than an ideal amount of cash on hand, I recognize there are many factors that play into this and may be different for each business. Just curious what the mentors recommend or feel comfortable with their own business. So yes, you are right, Kristen. There are a variety of factors that would come into place to answering the question, how many months of operating expenses should a business keep on hand? I generally, my general rule of thumb for myself is if I have a business that is fairly cash cash flow is pretty good, like not where things aren't getting jammed up in accounts receivable, and I don't have like accounts receivable that's stretching out 120 days or something, but it's a relatively cash kind of business where money's turning pretty well. If it's that type of business where you don't have tons of receivables, I generally say I want to keep at least 1 full month, like so that I can essentially pay all of my bills without ever having to look at the checking account and be like, oh shoot, am I going to run out of money? And ideally 2 months for a business like that. If I have, so if I have if I write $100,000 worth of checks a month out of the account, I would want to make sure I have at least $100,000 worth of stuff worth of free cash in the account, and then again, ideally 2. Of course, it gets much more complicated if you have receivables and like cash doesn't turn very fast or it's lumpy. It changes a lot. But I would say if you could go through a whole month writing checks and never have to worry about not having enough cash in the account, then that's pretty good. Not ideal, but like good enough. Ideal, I'd say, is probably 2 full months. Okay, so remember Erica Stokes. How do you organize your workday effectively? I've tried creating systems from scratch, but it's very hard. I believe it's hard because I'm not aware of all the tools that are effective in successful business, and if I'm unaware of it within myself. I want to learn how to prioritize the important things in my business so that I can feel that I'm making 1% progress each day, and right now I feel lost. Erica, I hear you. Totally agree. Organizing your own schedule is like super important. So I think what's very important for me anyway is the idea of what's important versus urgent. We have a tendency to focus on the urgent and not on the important. Urgent are the things that are like, you have to do right now, or the phone that's ringing, or the email that needs to be responded to. The important is the process that you can sit down and build so that you never have to do that thing again because you can hand it off to somebody else. It's those sorts of things. So what I would say is however it works best for you. So for me personally, I do my best focused work in the morning, like right when I wake up from bed, basically. Even if I get up and go to work out and stuff, sometimes that distracts me. So I usually assign my important stuff to that first thing when I wake up out of bed, and then if I can spend an hour on that, if I need to spend an hour on it, I will. So I would say the same thing for you. Figure out how to know like what is important versus what's urgent, and then figure out what part of the day is when you are most productive to work on those important things, and then block out that time and then assign those important things. Regardless of what fires are going on and what alarm bells are going off, you stay focused on that important thing at that time of the day that you committed to. Next question, Erica Stokes. How do you reignite day one within yourself so that you can get back to the day one grind? I'm looking for a way to cultivate that passion again moving forward in my week. I'm searching to recreate that feeling that drives you to do more than you thought you could. That's a good question. I'm going to give an answer that I don't think is necessarily the answer that is necessarily what you would expect. I would say that if you're not feeling like you want to have that day one grind, I'd say figure out what stuff you could eliminate so you don't have to have that feeling, right? Like how do you simplify the business, or how do you remove tasks? Put your focus on eliminating the need altogether first for that grind, as you call it. Because sometimes I think that we put so much focus on making the effort to do the work that we don't even make do we even have to do the work? Like, that's a good question to ask. Is this really necessary? Can I think and engineer my way out of this thing that I have to do? To simplify your life a little bit, so that it doesn't feel so much like you have to have that ignition again to keep things going. So I would say think about that. Next question. Jennifer Southall. I'm considering applying for a small business grants to keep my business afloat till it becomes profitable. What is your experience? Is there anything I should be aware of or need to look out for? I purchased a small art gallery studio that has taken longer than expected to get up and running because the previous owner didn't manage it well. My savings are all gone, and now it's running on credit cards. I'm starting to see a money trickle coming in, but not nearly enough to cover the expenses. So, Jennifer, my experience with grants, and I have a lot of experience with grants because I used to own a grant writing company, and my wife has been a grant writer for 20 years for a variety of companies. First off, for-profit grants, even if they're related to art world stuff, are generally quite difficult to get, or don't exist at all. And if they claim that they exist, sometimes it's a scam. There's people out there that unfortunately do bad things. So I'd be very cautious on trying to find this grant. And maybe you found something great, maybe something in your local area, or good. But definitely watch out to make sure that they're legit if you do find anything. What I find to work better than grants, if you're looking for like fixed amounts of dollars that are similar to a grant, is corporate sponsorships. If it's almost easier to sell a corporate sponsorship with the idea that they're going to get some sort of signage or some sort of like sponsored by thing. Than it is to get a traditional kind of grant. So yeah, I would be. We also recommend that to our nonprofit friends as well. That sometimes corporate sponsorships are easier than grants. Kelly Killingsworth. Would going signatory to an operators union be a smart move for my company? I've been researching the pros and cons of going signatory. It seems the companies that aren't unionized hate unions, and the ones unionized loved unions. I have an option to be able to have open hire for the first year after I sign. There is a shit ton of work coming up in my local area that is all signatory, and we would be a DVBE, General Engineering Licensed Union Contractor in Northern California. I'm not seeing a lot of cons, and I am seeing a lot of pros to going signatory. I'd love to get a meeting scheduled with any mentor that has experience with this, or with anyone who would like more information. Thank you. That's a great question, Kelly. I don't think I'm going to be super helpful in that regard. I have dealt with some union stuff in the past, but I don't have enough details in my own head probably to be particularly helpful. I guess my only recommendation would be to just be wary, just to be aware that you don't get committed down some path that you can't uncommit if you don't want to later. But other than that, that's all I would say, because I don't have any other better information. All right, that's it. We're good, everybody. Thanks very much. It's good to see everybody. and we will see you again next time.